here. Here comes Allie. Welcome, everyone, to our intimate general session for the Jail Success Mastermind, Monday, October 4th. John Lavenia here with you. I've had an interesting morning so far. I hope you guys had a good one. I'm working on making it a good one. You know what? Maybe that's our topic for today. Have a great day. Well, how about we make it a great day? That's something I got to remind myself to do. Good to see you, Allie. We've got a few things going on.
Stuart. Hi, Stuart. Amazing.
Stuart, look, everybody's celebrating.
Ages. I haven't seen you for ages.
Stuart's triumphant return. Oh, my goodness. Actually, Stuart's been with us on Monday nights for our book study group, which, of course, we'll be doing tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. We'll be concluding Wake Up and Live by Dorothea Brand. And then we're going to be moving on to a book that we've agreed upon that many of us haven't read, including myself. I haven't read Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. In fact, I think, Stuart, you volunteered to host the book study group next Monday because I'm going to be on the gun range, right? Did you want to do that, Stuart?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. Good times. So Stuart's back, everybody.
Very nice.
Yeah. So Atomic Habits, I'll get the link posted in the members site. I've heard a couple of good reviews on this book, and I haven't read it yet. So this will be the first book study group that we do where I haven't actually read the book previously. So we'll see what happens. What else? We do have our e-commerce work group today at 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, which is noon here in Pacific time. And just so you guys know, a lot of time zones are going to be changing here. Some are already changing, like down under. New Zealand just went on day leave. Sydney did, but of course not Queensland because they don't do daylight time, kind of like us in Arizona. We don't do daylight time. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, just prepare for that. It's that time of the year. So, but back to present time, which is something I like to live in as much as possible, whenever I can remember to do so. My goodness, let me tell you, I had an interesting morning so far. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I know my friends across the pond there, over in England and Switzerland and everywhere over there in Europe, it's not morning yet or anymore for you, right? You're already coming to dinner time or whatever. But I had an interesting morning where I had the intention, yes, to do my morning routine. And I thought, you know what, before I go and do that, there's the error right there. Before I go and do that, there's a couple of things that I didn't quite handle, that I could have handled over the weekend, things that were, just incomplete cycles. Let me go ahead and handle those couple of things. And before I knew it, 2 hours were gone. Now, I got upset. I was like, you know what? My whole day is wrecked. My morning, my routine. I haven't been to the gym. I haven't been to the gym today. I haven't meditated. I haven't visualized. I haven't done any study. And I did have things on the calendar before we got on here, right, for our general session. I did have client calls that were booked, things that I had to do, which are on my calendar. They have to happen. Right. And you guys know I've said it many times. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Well, this stuff's on my calendar and it's not just me. I have to show up. It's not like I could just skip the workout because I don't have a trainer or something. Right. Clients are showing up. I have to show up. Right. So that's the way I look at it. And yet my morning routine, while it's for the most part habitual, and many of us have read Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. He really boils it down into some very simple things, quantifiable things. He calls it the savers, right? So it's a little acronym there for those who've read the book. But these are things that you could do or not, right? But you could do these things consistently and habitually to set the stage for the rest of your day. Anyway, I didn't do the things. Right. And I'm not a disciple of, the savers method in particular. It's just basically a codification or a simplification of a morning routine. But I didn't do mine. And I got pissed, and next thing you know, I was looking at what was it that impinged on my time? Why is my time so worthless? Right. And it was a tendency. Even after all these years, there was a tendency to look outside and to blame. Well, this thing impinged on my attention. This outside influence influence took my time and pissed it away. And then I got present. I got back to present time. And I was like, okay, well, right now, meaning in this exact moment, who's responsible for what I do moving forward? Oh, me. Okay, me. All right. So I can make some different choices, which reveals that I could have made some different choices 2 hours ago. I could have done that. So who pissed away John's time today? Me. And so when I realized, in other words, when I made it real to myself that, yes, I am responsible, and I stopped looking to blame outside influences for my blunders, okay, for my transgression, for my having missed the mark, for my lack of ethics, yes, for my transgression against myself, then I owned it. And then I was able to get back into more present time, and like, all right, let me hit the reset button and let me get going on this. So here's the interesting takeaway from all this, because I'm sure we've all done this multiple times. There's the whole blame game that people, when they're as unconscious as I was this morning, tend to do, right? When I'm not conscious, when I'm not looking at how am I caused for this? How am I responsible in this situation? When I'm choosing to be unconscious, or like Dorothea Brand talks about in the book that we're going to be concluding tonight, when I'm reaping the rewards of failure and victimhood, right? Because there's rewards for that, right? I mean, there's a lot of agreement on that. We could be social, we can blame, right? We can not be responsible. Sympathy, I suppose, we can get sympathy. The interesting thing in my house is that we don't do like the sympathy thing, because we're all, kind of on the path of personal development and being conscious of, well, who's responsible for that? You know what? Who left the who left the laundry out or whatever, right? That's whoever did it, right? So we don't do the blame game here a lot, which I think is terribly resourceful. But here's the big takeaway for me on all this, is that when I find myself getting belligerent or irate or upset with, something outside wasting my time, I can, as soon as I get conscious of it, and as soon as I get in present time and stop projecting all over the place here, I can pretty readily identify that it's because of something I did wrong, something that I went against my own ethics. In other words, it's easy, here it is, it's easy to be critical, outwardly critical, when I myself know that I have missed the mark, or I went against my own standards or ethics. Interesting thing, if you take a look at that, right? We could see this in all kinds of, and I'm not going to go too far down this psychological rabbit hole, but we can easily see where people who have, let's say, they've done something wrong, they've transgressed against an other, right? They're also critical of that other, like they have harmed the other, and they're also critical, therefore making less of that other person. Therefore, their own transgression is not as bad because this person's a piece of crap or whatever. Right? Okay. So it's easy to be critical when we ourselves have been at fault. Notice how angry people tend to obviously be critical, but also stop, other people's communications, other people's actions, right? I remember a time when I, people say, well, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm so busy, right? What do you need? What do you want right now? What do you need from my life? So what was that about? What was it about? And yes, ostensibly and for real, like objectively, yes, I'm busy. Okay, I'm busy right now, but I'm not here sitting there being pissed off and stopping your communication or being forceful in any way. I can be busy and not, experiencing like all of the assumed or I guess taken on or manufactured anger that goes with that. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Right. So be busy and be productive. Right. And there it is. There's the difference. Did you hear what just came out of my mouth? I just heard it. Be productive. Was I productive this morning? No. So there's the sin. There it is. So there were things that I could do that were more productive and I didn't do. And because I didn't do what I knew would be the most productive, and I don't mean necessarily like making money productive, okay, but I mean in terms of principle-based living and things that I know will pay dividends throughout my day, quiet time, study, exercise, right? Because I was not productive in those ways, right? I started to get critical. So there's a difference between being busy and being productive. And I know this may sound too basic, okay, but where's the barometer? How do I feel about my own being busy? How do I feel about my own activities? Were they optimized or optimal? Were they on purpose or were they off purpose? Production and purpose go together. Remember what Albert Gray said, those of you who've read the transcript of, I've handed it out before, the common denominator of success, right? Where he talks about how the one common denominator of success for all people who've ever been successful at anything is that successful people have formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. And that could be your morning routine or whatever, right? I don't necessarily like going to the gym. I just habitually do it. I blundered today because I allowed myself off purpose action. But what did he say as you continue down that lecture that he gave? He talked about, because he was talking to a group of sales managers, he talked about if production is weak in your sales team, right? Your stats are down or whatever. He said, don't like force solutions or cause competition. And no, refocus people on their purpose. He said, you focus on purpose and production handles itself. So purpose and production go together. So off purpose, low production. Okay. Maybe still busy, very busy, but knowing in the back of my mind, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. What's the title of my first book? John, what was that book you wrote? Integrity is everything. Well, guess what just happened? By the way, I didn't say that I'm perfect and I've arrived and I've got perfect integrity. That's not the title of the book. John is perfect is not the title of the book. Oh my goodness. Integrity is everything is the title of the book. Who did I write it for? I wrote it for me. I need the reminders. And you get to read it too if you want. And thousands of people have. Integrity, on purpose action. If I want good self-esteem, we'll do esteemable things. Give yourself commands and then follow those commands. Do that, right? Or not. Suffer, man. Go suffer. Choose. And so for me, I just got in my face a beautiful reminder today of how I haven't arrived. So I guess here's the question for everyone. Oh, we got a few more people here now. Welcome, everybody. I wasn't looking at the screen. I was just looking at the camera lens. Hi, Janet. You look awesome, as always. As does Mint, as always. Stuart, this is like a ladies' club here. It's just me, you, and Edward. Do we have any other gentlemen here today? Oh, we got Virginia here. Wow. Oh, Ace Man's here. Yeah, there we go. So, so here's the thing that we could do to start our week, if you'd like, is to take a little bit of inventory, maybe revisit the the plan. Here's my plan, because remember, those who fail to plan to fail, right? And then the chapter on organized planning out of Think and Grow Rich, right? Which is the longest chapter of all in that book, right? It's interesting. A lot of it talks about gaining employment and selling your professional services, your personal services, right? This was written in a time where a lot of people were scrambling, looking at what can I do due to the economic downturn. The Great Depression was what we call it now. And then, what can we do to stop living in fear and to create our way out of this mess, which we also opted into. So again, there's that idea of responsibility. So on whatever day it was, Friday or whatever, where we talked about, hey, it's the fourth quarter, 90-day blitz, right? Let's get focused. All right. So let's couple that with what we're talking about here today. Now it's the fourth, 3 days gone, right? So do that 10 times and 3 months gone, right? That's, that's how fast it goes, right? So can we be intentional about that? And can we think, well, you know what? I want to put some nice production, some nice statistics on my own board today. What can I do moving forward to just get super focused and all the way until, I know we've got holidays coming up, okay, in different countries, different holidays, of course, Christmas. I think the whole world has their eyes on that, especially in the e-commerce world, okay? But the idea that we could accomplish more in this next 90 days than well, not to compare ourselves to the average person, okay, but the average person accomplishes in years. I mean, you can accomplish more in 3 months than the average person accomplishes in years. And that doesn't mean that you're a superhero with a cape and mask. Although I know Allie has a cape and mask in her closet and she wears it all the time when we're not looking. But but that it just simply means that you're on purpose more consistently, more often than you're off purpose. Whereas the average person, which is not what we're comparing ourselves to, but the average person who watches 7 hours of TV a day. Yeah, I mean, so you have no competition, right? Again, that's another thing that I have to look at, right? That's something that could influence my attention. Hey, John, look at me, look at me. Oh, there's problems in the world. You can't do anything about it right now, but there's problems that you should have your attention on. Where's my production? And because I go down this road a lot with you guys, and today I just had an acute reminder of it. But because I go down this road a lot in our talks, I hope you don't interpret that I'm like a taskmaster or something. If I am, it's mostly to myself, okay? Because we can be our own worst critics. But I think, I mean, unless you're already, I mean, think of it like this: you can go ahead and invalidate and throw out this whole conversation if every goal that you've intended for yourself is accomplished, and there's nothing more that you want or anything. You're just kind of coasting. If that's you, then please disregard everything I just said. And then tell me how you did it, because I don't know. I've never met anybody like that. In fact, I would venture that if you had completely fulfilled your goals and purposes for life, then you wouldn't be here. You'd be a poof of smoke. You'd be levitating outside my window, right? Or I would have attended your funeral by now, right? So no, you're here. So what do you guys think about this? Is there something you could do? Not to be a taskmaster, not to condemn yourself, okay, but to be more purposeful with whatever busyness is involved in being purposeful, right? Is there something you can do to raise the bar on your production? Therefore feel good about yourself and not be critical of yourself or others that you want to blame or anything like that. Any thoughts on this? I'm happy to hear what you guys think. Come on out. Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. I don't know what that means. Man in the Mirror. Is that a song perhaps from the late Michael Jackson? I was living in Los Angeles. Hey, Allie, come on out. I was living in Los Angeles when Michael Jackson died. I remember that day because there was like traffic jams, Hollywood Boulevard, like 12 people off themselves that day. It was like, what the hell is going on here? That was, Los Angeles. What do you think, Allie? Hi, Allie.
I was nowhere near there when Michael Jackson died. But I find I have to be reminded all the time of this on purpose action. It's just literally, it's like I have to reset every time I do a task of exactly what do I want to achieve from this task. It's insane the amount of distraction. Sometimes I have to go on Facebook because I'm doing social media advertising or something, and I just slip into looking at a news feed and scrolling down, and I have to just kick myself and say, no, what are you on Facebook for? Reset, refocus. It's just insane how easy it is just to slip into some distraction, and I'm really really aware of it now, so that's good. It's really good because I can reset myself. And now before I go on Facebook, I say to myself, what do you want to do? And it's like putting blinkers on and just like walking down a street, not looking at the shops, just really. But I'm really shocked at how powerful it is to have to just, take your mind off somewhere else. It's quite scary. I find it quite scary. But also what you were saying about when you criticize other people because it's criticize you, I find that so useful when people are criticizing me to understand where it's coming from in their issue, and therefore let it ride over the top of my head. So yeah.
Right. Thank you, Allie. So you can reinterpret, the source, or let's say the quality of that criticism, just based on, where it's coming from and what agenda is there. I mean, if you came to me, Allie, and said, "Hey, look at this work," and you wanted my objective, critique or something, with intent to help you, right? It would be good criticism, right? So we're not talking about all criticism is like an invalidation or something, although it could be, right? But what Ali was just talking about with the blinders on, and I'm not a horse guy, but I know there is such a thing as actual blinders, like a leather something. I'm sure Stuart would know better than I do. But they, do the llamas wear blinders? I don't.
Horses, don't they? Right. Blinkers or whatever they're called. I don't know.
Yeah. It's focus their attention, right? So don't look there. Don't look there. Look there. Okay. And so that sort of a thing, I think, is so necessary, especially in the age of, social media, which with that comes addictive properties. I've heard it said that some people are addicted to bad news, or addicted to crisis. In other words, you get actually a dopamine hit because you got agreement, right? So for people who are, and this is just one example, for people who are constantly inundated with like mass media news, political commentary, stuff like that, with everything that's wrong, right? This is wrong. That actually sets up like an addiction, and there's like some sort of a dopamine hit from that. Or same thing with like getting social media likes. Oh, I'm getting validation, right? Dopamine, right? Which is, I guess I don't know, I'm not the doctor guy, okay, but the secretions of the good feelings or whatever, kind of like you take a drug to like get a blast of dopamine, right? So that is addictive. I want my dopamine, man. I want to go see what's wrong, or I want to go get other people's opinions, or I want to get likes or something, which you can't deposit in your bank or pay your bills with. And yet, right? And the other thing is, which I'll say just while I'm on this little rant, is the not just the addictive nature of it and the time suck of it, but also how I have noticed lower attention spans with people who spend a lot of time on social media, right? They're scrolling, and they're, hit. And then if you look at like TV commercials, which I don't see too often, but the amount of times they change the frame on the screen. Now, I know that what we're doing right now, talking head, hey, I'm talking, you're listening, right? There's no action. It's not a action movie or whatever. But like, watch any commercial. I'm sure you can find the stuff on YouTube or whatever, for like a children's toys, right? It is like, I mean, you can go into like an epileptic fit with the amount of times that the screen changes. That's how fast the triggers are. I'm like, holy crap! Can we just sit here? I mean, I'm old school, right? I could go sit in a lecture for 3 days and listen to somebody talk, right? Take notes, whatever, right? That's great. But my goodness, the inputs are going to be so fast. Is that serving anyone? I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Allie, for that. Who else has some thoughts on whatever 15 different topics we're talking about today? Hi, Janet. Janet, you've got attention span. You don't do calligraphy at 2.3 milliseconds, right? I mean, calligraphy is, you got to have some attention for that.
That's one of the benefits, and one of the things I'm putting under benefits is it's a moving meditation. Because when it's your pen, your ink, your paper, the whole rest of the world goes away. Mm-hmm. And I see benefit in that, just in terms of meditation, just in terms of focusing your attention somewhere, and you come out with a good skill. So that's part of what I'm putting in my stuff. That's a way to because meditation can be very hard for a lot of people. But if you're doing something where you are focused, then that is a form of meditation. So yes, John. Yes, you do have many topics today, probably as normal. And I came in late, I'm sorry. I am a dopamine addict. I admit it. I think that's why waiting till the last minute. There's the thing, if not for the last minute, nothing would get done. I think you've hit on it today, John. Because we want, I need that kind of that rush, I guess, oh, it's time. I've got to scramble and do whatever. And often I'm good with it. And sometimes I'm late, like this morning. So sorry. There's so many things. I'm trying to look at my notes. I'm sorry. So I tend to be a project person. I tend to put things in terms of, this is what I need to do. And like right now, I'm working toward an October 24th date, and I'll put that in our Facebook thing so you guys know about it. Not that any of you want to come, but just you'll know about it. So I have, under that project, I have tasks that need to be accomplished by that date. And so I have to have the whole alphabet out there and ready to send to send to people. I have to have so I've been doing right now the marketing, the media stuff. That's what's being taken care of at the moment. Then I have to have things to send out. I have to make sure all my stuff is ready to show. I'm working toward having little books that people can buy, and then after that, I will assemble all of it and get myself a YouTube channel and put that out there for YouTube. And I also then will put that with the instruction I'm doing at the end for people who want. I will be turning that into a course. But in order to have the course, I have to have I'll probably do it off of a website. I may come and talk to you this Friday about it. So it's all of this.
Is this a virtual event?
Yes.
Okay. So please promote that into the Facebook group and put links. Yes. It's like a free calligraphy class or something on the 18th, right?
On the 24th.
24th.
Right. Is going to be a book, an artist book that I did. And, all the decisions about what kind of paper, what length, what size, what blah, 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 all of the different decisions that went into the final thing. When we see a final thing, this is all of us. When we see a final thing in our minds, it arrives fully done. It's Venus on the half shell. She's born fully grown, right? But that's Botticelli painting, by the way. But we don't see all the stuff behind it. So we think that instant together. We don't think of having to do the packaging, having to do, the design of it, whatever it is. And it can be just that we're not just, I don't mean that, but it can be that we've found the right supplier, that we've had them package it in the right way, that it gets sent to the right place, all of those things. But they're all a project. And when I see things in terms of a project, then I have steps, and those steps I can hit, and I'm just better focused with it than if I have something out there that's not framed in that way. Mm-hmm. It's just easier for me to frame it and focus it.
Well, it's back to organized planning. So it sounds like you've got this very purposeful action that you're going to be doing publicly. I think you hit the nail on the head with the idea of packaging and promoting that, right? And then there'll be classes that people can buy and such. But the number one thing that I think pretty much any entrepreneur could do more of is promotion, right? Making known into the marketplace that you exist and that these benefits exist, right? So please promote.
Yes, and so thank you. Shannon was very generous a couple of days ago toward me, and you're being very generous, and I thank you. Last week you said it's not the better product, it's the better known. So I am not the world's greatest calligrapher. Do I spend 8 hours a day on it? I don't. That would be great if I did and have, but I don't. But, teaching forces me to sit down and look at this new thing and analyze it and get exemplars out there and do whatever. So that's that's a thing that focuses me. I have, I meet every Friday. I have to have things ready for them. It might be at, 7 a.m. they get their exemplars, but, I have things I have to accomplish. And that is really good to have organized for me. But going back to better known is, calligraphers have their calligraphers. I have my teachers, and I'm not their audience, who includes me, is not what I'm going for. I'm going for the everyday person. I'm going for the person who could benefit from this. We have a lot more everyday people than we have specialized people. And so knowing where I belong, knowing where I am right now, and going for the everyday person, that's a whole lot bigger numbers. And my intention, John, from you, is to be better known. So
Right.
I'm doing things to get out there and be known.
That's all about promotion. And then the other thing that you just mentioned is targeting the everyday person, the hobbyist, the person who's not, their life isn't calligraphy, but they would like some aesthetics in their life and an art, right? So calligraphy is an art. And so in that way, if you can make it more accessible, I know, like, if I give you an example, right? And I'm sure Stuart knows about this too, right? There are people who spend 10 hours a day practicing their instrument, right? Here's the guitar. That doesn't mean they're a rich and famous musician. That just means they're amazingly competent.
Mhm.
Whether or not they promoted or got promoted, right, on the business side could yield profitability, right, or not. Okay. However, you go to them for instruction and they're talking at such a high level, they're just inaccessible. Like they're speaking gobbledygook to me, right?
Mhm.
But the guy who teaches the kid the guitar thing, and this is where you put the fingers, right? Okay, now I can access that. The price tag is lower as well. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the accessibility of it is higher. And so I think if that's what you're going for, do you have to be the guru of all gurus for calligraphy to hit the public? No, hit the public. Just keep it accessible and then
Yeah.
make it known.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So that I'm going for a lower price, bigger numbers.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. And to make it so one of the things I do is I work with two pencils rather than the pen, so that you can see inside of it and everything. And a lot of my students, the feedback is, I haven't done this for 30 years. And now I see where I was going wrong. And now I see why I stopped doing it, because I just really didn't understand how to get better. So I'm getting feedback through them for, now some people drop the class. It's not for them. That's fine.
Right.
It's not every teacher for every student, but
as long as they're having wins, I think, look, this is relevant for everyone. As long as they're having wins and they can see that they're having wins, right? What causes people to like bail out of a course or something? Why did I give up golf? Right? I played golf a few times. I suck. Right. And to me, like the gradient, I was so low on that gradient of proficiency that I was like, I'm never going to climb this mountain. I'm not even that interested. Right. And every now and then I would hit a ball correctly. And I'm like, man, that was a perfect 5-iron out of like the 10,000 crap shots. Right. So I played with this guy once. We both were going to take up golf. Right. So we went to the golf store and we bought all this crap, right? $1,000 golf clubs and all this. And I remember this guy had a driver and it had to be, I don't know, $500 for the driver. Right. He wound up throwing the thing into the woods. Just so frustrated. Oh, well.
no, I think meet people where they are, So I was putting together the supply list for October 24th. If people want to stay for the second section, which is some lettering, the first section is just about how to create a book and think through things. And I decided just in the last few days, or a ballpoint pen. Everyone has a ballpoint pen and they can follow the forms that way. They don't have to have the specialized equipment. They can get something out of it.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe I'll even show up if I can be there. I'm not like a calligraphy guy, although who knows? Maybe you can convert me. We'll see. Maybe get
No,
my daughter Trinity in on that too.
yes, get Trinity.
There you go. See?
This is building enthusiasm, as you said, and
Right.
you said it yesterday on Shannon's thing. Building enthusiasm, transfer of enthusiasm, getting people excited about stuff, right?
Good.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Janet. Glad you're here. All right. Calligraphy, everyone. Who else? Anybody else want to share today? Come on out on whatever topic. Hi, Stuart. What is the topic? Save me, man. What are we talking about here?
Being busy versus being productive,
There you go.
I think was was the opener.
Yeah.
I seem to recall a lot of space devoted to that in Wake Up and Live, and some of the other books that we've read. The concept of, we can fill our time with, let's say, tasks that don't advance our goals, right? But we can get a lot of little things done, but if it doesn't really bring you closer to achieving your goals, then maybe it doesn't fall into the realm of productivity, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of writings on that stuff, but I think that's the the theme there. And yet, in tonight's chapter, or in chapter 11 on Wake Up and Live, she says a couple things, right? One is be rigid but friendly to yourself. So I would encourage you to not be too hard on yourself, right? Because it sounded like you were, you had a moment of getting yourself in a tizzy there. And I know, of course, you managed to correct that rather quickly or whatever. But, I'm reminded of a couple things with that, right? You've been prompting me on Stoicism lately, so I've been kind of rereading some things. But, Seneca talks about true happiness being in the moment and things like that. And, for whatever reason you made, your decisions to skip your, your morning routine. And so, right, it's Epictetus would say, it's not, the events that are troubling to us. It's how we handle them, or our reaction to them, or whatever, right? So a lot of that's about just sort of how we roll with the punches and how we, deal with things. And yeah, you could kick yourself in the ass all day for, missing your workout this morning or whatever. Maybe you do an evening workout. But again, I go back to like our chapter tonight, chapter 11, and while on the one hand she's promoting, structure and rigidity, on the other hand, she's telling us or encouraging us to break free of our, rigid habits and scheduling and things like that. And so I would just, reflect on that for myself too. And I've been, in a recovery situation, right? And so it's easy for me to kind of get hard on myself or get down on myself for, not being able to do X, Y, Z, or just not feeling up for whatever it is that I might, think I need to do that day or whatever. And so there's definitely a humbleness in just sort of saying, okay, I missed that. It's all good. Do whatever you got to do to kind of get yourself back on the track and all that. So, but I appreciate that. And I appreciate you making yourself vulnerable and just saying, hey, look, I had a little hair pull moment there, and now I'm back to it. So good on you.
Thank you.
Time management, right, is another one, right? I know, you talk a lot about time management, and I think that's something that I need to work on for sure. And I know, probably most of us, could work on time management for sure. Janet, congratulations on your calligraphy gig. Sounds great. Super cool. My son, who's now 23, was a Waldorf student, and I fully remember, one of his assignments was to do the whole alphabet in calligraphy. You had to get, calligraphy supplies and pens and things like that. If you guys don't know what Waldorf education is, it's sort of a Montessori-esque kind of thing, but really more geared towards the developmental stages of the brain. And so rather than like learning history, they learn mythology earlier on, things like that. And so it's more about, connected to how we develop and the stories we tell and things like that. But yeah, the calligraphy thing was really important. And then you called it like a meditation, and you were talking about like attention to detail and things like that. And of course, I immediately think about walking in nature to me, or hiking, to me, with or without groups, right? But definitely without groups, it becomes more of a walking meditation for me. And Leah and I have been getting out in nature quite a bit. And so really just, wonderful to sort of watch the leaves change and things like that. And, you talked about attention span, John, and, I immediately think about how, in the early days of television, you had commercials every once in a while. And then I remember by the time I was a kid in the 70s, in a half-hour television show, you get 17 minutes of commercials or whatever it is, right? And, it was all about like just lowering your attention span to the point where now, with social media, just like you're mentioning, and like TikTok videos, and I think a few years ago, there was something called Vine, and it was like 6 seconds, so it's really like, not only do I think there's a concerted effort to lower our attention span, but when you look at a lot of the technology out there, it really, again, I think our attention span now has been reduced to like 7 seconds. And when I say hour, I sort of mean the general public or whatever it is. But, and obviously we have the ability to overcome those things. But it kind of like, for me, being in nature is like a living almanac, right? And so the analogy could be like watching the paint dry or something like that, in the sense that for me, like I'm watching flowers grow, and it may not be in one day, or trees grow or things like that, right? And not only is this a seasonal or an annual, but it becomes kind of a lifetime kind of thing, which is interesting, right? And this concept of, watching the forest grow, right? And, oh, I remember when I first started coming to this area, and, oh, that tree was only this big, and now look at it, it's this big, or whatever it is. And so that hit me. And then the other thing, best known beats best. And just hearing you talk about, doing a YouTube channel and things like that, immediately I went to Bob Ross. And I don't know if you guys, know Bob Ross. He was like a, public access television painter, did a painting show back in the 80s and 90s, right?
Very mild-mannered, just like you, Stuart. Very
Oh
mild.
This concept of like best known, right? The guy wasn't like the best painter. And the reality was that, he was teaching techniques that, many people had taken his courses and essentially made paintings that looked almost identical to his, right? And a lot of his students and things like that. But boy, everybody knows Bob Ross, or everybody knew Bob Ross, probably, right up there with Picasso and Rembrandt or whatever it is, right? So it's pretty amazing. And there's a great documentary, kind of sad, if you haven't seen it yet, on Bob Ross on Netflix or whatever. But anyway, good on you, Janet, for doing that. And John, don't be too hard on yourself, brother, because we know you're the man. We know you're the master, man. You know how to get her done.
Yeah. Well, my next book will be John is Perfect is the title. Hey, you guys, speaking of walking in nature, before we wrap up here today, I don't see any other hands up, but speaking of walking in nature, I did a little walking in nature yesterday. This is out in the Santan Mountains of if you guys know the Phoenix area, southeastern corner of the valley. So there's my sweetie and me needing a shave. So I'm looking forward to a llama trek this spring. Everybody, put it on your calendar. May, Taos, New Mexico, llamas and the Llama King himself. So get ready. All right. Shall we wrap up with that? I will see everyone back here on at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be back with you. We do have Emma and Neil for our e-commerce work group at 3 p.m. Eastern. So tune into that. And love you guys. Thank you for helping me today. I got all the help I can get.